The Development of Screen Acting as an Art by Inez and Helen Klumph. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Andrea Kay. The Development of Screen Acting as an Art. From Screen Acting, Its Requirements and Rewards. It is not necessary to travel back very far along the road which the motion picture industry has traveled to reach the days when exaggerated pantomime was what was meant by acting in pictures. We can all remember how, when an actor wanted to tell someone that he was going away, he would point to himself, then to the door, then back to himself again. He made faces, gesticulated profusely, left nothing to the intelligence of the audience. The development of screen acting has depended, to a great extent, on the growth and improvement of audiences, just as the development of sets and lighting and photography have also been the result of a desire on the part of the public to see better things on the screen. To experiment with motion pictures is an expensive thing, but from time to time we have had producers who dared do it, who, like D.W. Griffith, dared attempt something as big as The Birth of a Nation, the failure of which would mean a tremendous financial loss. Yet experiments there have been. William S. Hart was one of the first to make them. He staked his whole motion picture career on an experiment. He had been on the stage for some 16 years and decided to go into pictures because he felt that the West, which he loved, was being caricatured on the screen. He wanted to show the public what a real cowboy was, and so he went into pictures, directing as well as acting. His first picture was made for Triangle. When the authorities saw it, they protested violently. "You don't act enough," they told him. "The public won't stand for your doing so little acting. You do too much just by changing your expression. You don't exaggerate enough." Hart insisted that his theory was right, that on the screen an actor is much nearer his audience than he is on the stage, and that therefore gesticulation and grimacing are foolish. He felt that natural work, which conveyed the right meaning to the audience, was all that was necessary. The Triangle people were not convinced and sold the picture to another releasing organization. It was a big success, and Hart was vindicated. He was one of the first, if not the first, to prove that screen acting should be natural and not a series of exaggerated movements. He has progressed with the development of this movement toward natural work on the screen. His work today is more subtle, more effective than it was then. He has seen that audiences were reaching the point where that was what they wanted, and has always been just a little bit ahead of their desire in this respect. The fact that the public won't let him retire is proof of his wisdom as well as of his talent. Acting on the screen is not acting, it is being. It is getting into a character, fitting it as a hand fits into a glove, and then letting the public see what that character does under a given set of circumstances. When D.W. Griffith began working with the talented and experienced Joseph Schildkraut, who is the hero in Orphans of the Storm, he saw that the young man, governed by his training in pantomime, was doing too much and not being enough. "Don't do so much, just be still," he told Schildkraut, and by way of making his point clear, he had Broken Blossoms run off in the projection room and told Schildkraut to study Dick Barthelmess's work in it. When it was over, Schildkraut asked to have it run again, and then he came to Mr. Griffith. "I see my mistake," he said. You will remember the remarkable restraint with which Barthelmess played that role, how few motions he would make, even in a big scene, and how very effective they were. That was because he is an accomplished actor. He has developed in the new school of screen acting and is a master of it. He dares to be still, merely to be what he is supposed to be, and let the audience accept him in that capacity. And so screen acting has become an art in itself. It is not pantomime. It is not acting as we understand the word from what we see on the stage. It comes nearer to being a projection of the trained imagination, as progressive a thing as a strain of music, with the incidents of the story the instrument on which it is performed. In giving this definition, I refer, of course, to the work of the great artists of the screen, to Lillian Gish's performance in certain parts of Way Down East, to some of Pauline Frederick's portrayals, to bits given us by Norma Talmadge, Charles Ray, Charlie Chaplin, Colleen Moore, John Barrymore, Richard Barthelmess, Burt Lytell, by Betty Compson in The Miracle Man, in fact, by everyone whom you have seen in a true portrayal of a bit of life. This development in the art of screen acting is due largely to the fact that acting before the motion picture camera has become subjective rather than objective. Actors used to move their hands and arms and make faces to portray an emotion. Now the portrayal begins in their mind. They are conscious of it there. They concentrate on its mental portrayal, and the human body naturally conveys that mental conception to the audience. Colleen Moore says, "Gestures, expressions, etc., I think come more or less instinctively, as one gets into a part and ceases to be oneself, and becomes for the time at least the character one is portraying. By imagining the things that a certain type of girl would think and do, the obvious acting comes as a result. I never plan my gestures or the expression of my face. I only try to get the feeling and atmosphere surrounding the girl, and then to think and feel as the girl herself would think and feel." Of course, screen acting could not have developed as it has if the audiences in the motion picture theaters had not developed also in responsiveness. And the two must continue to progress together. Nowadays, a skilled actor can depend on a single movement of the eyes to convey an important point. That is because his audience is educated in going to motion pictures and can catch such an indication of emotion, where formerly it would have demanded movements of the arms and a change in the expression of the whole face as well. And as this responsiveness continues to develop, we may expect finer and finer work on the screen. End of The Development of Screen Acting as an Art by Inez and Helen Klumph.